What's happening, everybody? I hope that you're doing good. This is just a quick check-in to see how everybody is doing. I think I haven't done a little bit on this last week or earlier this week under some bad circumstances, which was the whole thing with my GoPro and all that. But as you guys know, I got some donations. I was able to get a new one. I already made a video with it. I made a couple videos with it. I recorded some of my workout this morning, and also I recorded a new video of going to my dad and spending some time with him. And I purposefully did that video because that's something that I have not necessarily wanted to share too much about. But people have told me that they have enjoyed me sharing those types of moments because it helps them with different things that they are going through. I know that I'm not the only one with a sick parent or a sick family member that's going through that type of thing. Before I even start, I want to shout out Van Hoot, who runs a channel called Basketball Rewind. I posted that on my community page. Please give that a look. Follow Basketball Rewind. The link is in the description of the little video clip that I posted yesterday. And we talked about mental health in sports, and we talked about basketball players who have mental health diagnoses who want certain accommodations for them in sports. So please check that out. I don't know if I'm not seeing the comments or there's nobody has made any comments yet, but I'm just gonna continue on. So this is basically just, I don't have any agenda for this video. It's just a temperature check because I like to check on my people. I like to know how people are doing, how they're feeling, what's going on in your life. Essentially, that's what I do for work, and that's what I do in my life with people in my life, and that's also what I want to provide for people who follow my page. Because it's important to me not just to keep going, keep pushing out videos, and keep putting out content without knowing how the people who are following my page are doing. Some people don't care if people come and go, drop off and fall off, and that happens regardless. Even if I'm checking in all the time, people are gonna come and go, but I know my consistent people who follow me all the time and who comment all the time, and I know when they're not there. I notice. Hey Vicky, how are you doing tonight? I hope you're doing good. I hope you're having a good Saturday. It's supposed to be storming over here, but I hope that the storm is not significant or anything like that. Right now, it's just a little rain. Saw your video with your dad. What did you think of it? I'm quite proud of that video, to be honest. I'm proud of making that video. And what I wanted to say about that video, too, is that when I made the previous video with the other GoPro, I stopped in there the morning before I left for my trip to Miami. So the visit to my dad at that time was very short, and he was not so animated. I basically just saw him. I was in the room for like 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes. He wasn't awake most of that time, but I was just talking to him. This time, this is actually a day that I dedicated to going in there and spending a good amount of time with him. I was there for probably an hour at least or more, and he was so alert, more so than usual. The video might have been like 9 minutes or something like that, but I didn't record everything or put everything up. But the amount of time I was actually in there was really nice, and he looked like he was just really intensely looking at me, and that's not something that he's been doing recently. Recently, even if his eyes are open, he's not looking at anything specifically. They're just open. But he was looking at me. Um, MC, that's why I like jumping on live sometimes because that's how I started, just jumping on live. Videos are nice, but it's not quite the same as being able to see you guys and talk to you and see how you're doing and get live feedback of whatever it is that we're talking about here. Um, I'm good. I'm glad to hear that his eyes responded to you for sure. Yeah, like that last little portion where you see that his eyes got really wide and he was gazing on me. Like that's how he used to be all the time. He used to be like that every time I came in there. Even after I stopped talking, I would be like, "Hi, Dad," and he would look at me like that. And recently, it has been a while since he's done that. But that particular day, which was Friday, he had that look on his face, and it kind of just lets me know that he's still aware that I'm there. I'm there for him. You know, he can hear me, feel my presence, see me. That was nice. Hi, Dolly. Was his condition the result of a stroke? My dad has vascular dementia, so he has had multiple major strokes. And the last one that he had was the one that put him in this spinal condition that he's in now because last September, not last September, last summer, he was still in the house. He was able to walk with assistance with his walker. He was able to talk a little bit, and we even had him going to a senior program. And he was attending the senior program. They would come and they would pick him up in the morning and take him in the van, in the wheelchair, and then he would go there for the day, and then he would come home. And he seemed to like the program, so it's pretty recent that he's been bedridden like this. But yeah, he's had multiple strokes. His heart is weak. There's a lot of things going on with him health wise. So I go and I visit him like now twice a week because of my job. When I was off the job with my family leave that I took, I was going like 4 or 5 days a week. So it was hard to cut down because it's tough going 5 to 6 days between seeing somebody who you know is in final stages of his condition. But I just leave that in God's hands. Whenever, whatever time he has, I check in with my mom. I check in with the facility. Um, there's nothing else that I can do. I do the best that I can. But I know so I kind of want to just talk things that we learned when he was still in the house, um, adversities that we faced, and triumphs and different things. I'm at some point going to be doing that. My son is recovering from one in January. Wow, sorry to hear that. But I'm glad that he's recovering. But I'm sorry to hear that he had one. My daughter has been with him this past week. So, what is your son's condition, if you don't mind? You don't have to tell me that, but if you would like to, and if you feel comfortable, like, why did he have the stroke, and what is his current state? Yeah. So, on another note of updates, my new job has been going fantastic. The training part of it, not like training and spending 5 hours a day in a classroom. But in terms of the management situation, the manager that I have, we get along very well. It's a breath of fresh air. It's night and day better for me. Nobody's like micromanaging. My manager, other ones before her, not so much. We didn't get along very well. But this new one, I like the type of manager that does not feel the need to stand over you. That is just like, we hired you to do the job. Here's what you have to do, and just do your thing, especially with a remote job. Because imagine having a remote job where the manager is like constantly messaging you all day, giving you random video calls or giving you random Teams calls. It's just not necessary. If it's new information that you need to know, I understand. Like if you have to update us on something that has changed about what we're doing or a different rule, I get it. But aside from that, man, just leave us to do our job. This was his second one. He was alone for a day. Oh, goodness. Thankfully, one of his coworkers checked on him. When my dad, I think when my dad had his stroke, he was in the house by himself. This is kind of an amazing story. So my dad was talking to somebody on the phone, and then apparently his speech started to slur, and his face started drooping. So he was having the stroke while he was having a conversation with someone. And that person was like, "Are you okay? I think something is wrong." So they told him to call my mom. So he called my mom and he told her, "I can't breathe." But I don't think it was that he couldn't breathe. It was that he didn't know how to express what was happening to him. He was having trouble with speaking. That's what was happening with him. So she called me. I wasn't home and I wasn't close enough to home that I was going to be able to get back in time to help. So she told him, I think she called 911, but she told him to go to the living room if he could walk, and he could, and unlock the front door and open the front door. And then she told him to sit in the living room and wait for the paramedics to get him. So amazingly, while he was having his stroke, he was able to do all of that. And who knows, that might have saved his life at that time. I know some people don't believe in God, but I definitely do. And I think that God has like held him and protected him for this long. So I don't, God's timing is God's timing. And even though things have been hard for me and for my family and everything, it can always be worse. And there are some ways where we have been spared. There's some ways that we have been spared. I remember early on, because I've heard of people with dementia like wandering. We only had one real wandering incident. The wandering incident was he had asked me to go to the store and get him some food, some Jamaican food. So I went to get him some food. He was in bed at the time, and when I was leaving, I told him like, "Okay, I'm going to the store. I'll be back with the food in 10 minutes." Here, right? And anyone who has dealt with somebody who has dementia, you cannot take their word at face value. I was not experienced with this, So I took his word at face value that he was going to sit in bed. So I went, I got the food, I came back, less than 10 minutes, like maybe 7 to 8 minutes. I come back, I check the room, I'm like, Dad, I'm home. He was not in his bed. And I freaked out. I'm like, oh my goodness, where is this guy? I checked the whole house, he's not in the house. So I'm like, where could he have possibly gone? Fortunately, he wasn't able to get far enough down the block for me not to be able to see him. I went outside, I looked up and down the block, and there he was clutching the fence because his heart was too weak for him to walk that kind of distance. And he left without his cane, and he was just kind of keeled over, and I had to go help him get back to the house, which was a task in and of itself, helping him get back to the house when his body was almost limp. And I got him back in, and then he took a long nap for the day. They say once a man, twice a child. So I really, like, my dad, I had to take care of my dad during that time period. Where are we at here? Leg was damaged from laying on it, working on recovery of it. Wound doc help eat wounds heal. Well, I'm glad he's getting the care he needs, and I hope that he recovers as much as is possible. Thanks for sharing. Hi, Mark. I was really sick, so I'll get back on it in a few days. Have a great night. And I believe that you had said that you were having a surgery at some point. I don't know. I guess you might have already had it. So I hope that if that's the case, if I have that right, I hope that you're healing well. Your situation is scary. It was because, like, if he had made it around the corner, because he had made it right to the end of the block, and if he had made it around the corner and had the same situation, it would have been a problem. Because here in New York is not like other places. Like other places, you can be sure that if somebody elderly was just wandering off and they have dementia, that you can depend on the good neighbors to be like, where are you from? Where's your house? Let me call 911 for you. Let me get in contact with your family. Over here, I literally have seen an elderly lady that was left on the ground. That's a whole story. Matter of fact, I'll tell you guys that story in a minute. AD, Sharon, hope you're better soon. Left side. Oh wow, wow. So it has been working for him. Yeah. So a long story short, because I won't be on here too much longer, but I was walking home from my gym. This was a number of years ago. And from a distance, I saw what looked like an elderly lady sitting on the curb. And I thought she was sitting on the curb. So I didn't think anything of it. But then I got a little closer, and I'm like, she's not moving. And I see people walking around, stepping over her, crossing the street. So I get close to her, and I see that her nose is bleeding. And I see that she looks like she fell. So I walked up to her, and I was like, oh, my God, excuse me, ma'am. What's happened here? Are you okay? And she was just like, no, I walked out of the Verizon store, and I fell, and I think I broke my hip. And I said, how long have you been sitting here? And she said, I went into the store, I purchased a phone, and then I came out, and as soon as I stepped on the curb, I slipped, and I fell and landed on my hip. So my first thought was, she's right in front of the Verizon store. There's no way that they didn't either see this happen or see her on the floor. I walked in there, and I was like, excuse me. This lady said she was just in your store. She came out, and she fell on the curb and broke her hip. Can you guys call 911 or something? And the guy says, we don't want to deal with the liability. So I left that one alone because that pissed me off. I left that one alone because the major thing was that she needed to be tended to. And I came back out to talk to her, and I'm like, is there somebody I can call? Do you have family? She said that she was crying for help. Rich, good to see you. She said that she was asking and begging people for help, and they just kept walking past her, walking around her, and nobody was willing to stop and help her. So thankfully, when I stopped to help her, some lady stopped and was like, what's happening here? I am a paramedic. She was not on duty, but she was like a paramedic that had training with that kind of stuff. So she asked her a whole bunch of questions, and then she was able to call 911 and assist the lady, and the lady was like, thank you so much. So it's a very scary thing for your elderly parents to go missing, especially in an area like the type that I live in, where you might get a good Samaritan, but there's more chances that you don't than there is chances that you will. Oh my God, seriously, dead serious. And from where I saw her, I could see her because it was a straightaway path. It was about 15 minutes of walking before I actually got up to her. So it was at least 15 minutes plus whatever the time was that she fell. And I was the first person to attend to her. And people were like, oh, she was like, you're such a good young man. And I'm like, I'm picturing my own grandmother on the ground like that. Like, I would be mortified if my grandmother had a fall like that and nobody was willing to stop and help her. That's the way that I look at it. Good thing you stopped for her to help her. Yeah, you were her blessing. Good Samaritan was a great parable. Oh yeah, Christians will always extend their help. Sunday school buddies. Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's probably some of the values that I learned as well. And then it's like the world can make you kind of jaded when you see the things that people are not willing to do for their fellow man. But I just like to say, I just feel like I'm not gonna change who I am based on the world and what the majority are doing. I'm just gonna be the difference that I want to see. All the things that I would like to experience for myself, I do my best to provide those to others. God working through you, please excuse my religion. You're excused. I feel the same thing, Rich. I feel the same thing. I feel the same thing. Yeah. So as I was saying, my job has been going well. I'm much less stressed on the job. Um, in terms of what I've been doing, I have been resting this week. I have not gone to the gym. Well, I went to the gym today. Excuse me. I can't say that I went a full week without the gym, but I did not go to the gym Sunday through Friday, and that was pretty intentional because now I realize, my body has limits. Appreciate that, sir. I realize my body has its limits. So after doing some kind of strenuous competition like that, I used to jump right back into the gym or do like a race, do some running or whatever. Not anymore. I'm going to get my rest and let my body fully heal before I jump into some next thing, because you're one injury away from having to sit out for months, and I've had many injuries. And now, even though you see me in these competitions, I rest properly, I eat properly, and I take breaks in between. I take breaks in between because we're not just meant to just go constantly, go. And that does not just mean fitness. It means in everything. I know, like, a lot of people are not conditioned to take breaks because that's not what we learn in school. We learn that we have to make every minute productive, but getting rest is productive. Getting rest is productive because if you just keep going and going and going and going, you're gonna wear yourself down. You'll wear your mind down. You wear your body down, and then you get to these points of breakdown where you can't do anything. It's like if you are in the car, you're driving the car. You can just keep driving the car unlimited. You can ignore those lights that go on in the car. You need this maintenance, you need this oil change, you need this, and this. It's annoying to not have the car for a little bit and spend some money for people to do all these changes in the car, the maintenance things that they recommend or whatever, change the air filters and blah, 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 switch out the brakes and different stuff, right? But if you just keep driving it, shoot, one day the car might fail on you, and then what's going to happen? Temporarily not having it, temporarily putting it in park and taking care of it can save you in the long run, can save your life, as a matter of fact. Body recuperation is a beautiful thing. Yes, it is. Thank you, Mark. Library is closing. Yes, I know your situation, Rich, and I think I said this to you on Facebook, but I hope that it's resolved as soon as possible. And I miss this community as well because I have not really connected with you guys live because a lot of you don't watch BB Can and a lot of you don't watch the Challenge World Championships that I've been putting on the other channel. So we've connected, I'm still active and you guys still give me commentary on my pre-recorded videos that I post on here. But live is the thing that I really love doing. I love getting on here because this is how I started with it. I wasn't a Big Brother page, and I just hopped on here live one day, and that's how my community started, was just by me talking to whoever came on. And it's my favorite thing to do. And it wasn't something that I thought that I would like doing either, because I didn't like the concept of live. I'm like, I prefer to take my time to create the video and get a chance to edit, watch it back, and make sure everything is perfect. But I actually like the aspect of just being able to hop on here and freestyle. Like, sometimes I get into topics based on things that you guys suggest to me that I wasn't even thinking about. Or sometimes I learn something new, or sometimes my community shares things with me that they're not just going to post on a regular post because you're hearing me talking. Hi, Shelly. Thanks for hopping on. I'm going to be on here maybe another 10 minutes or so. But I think I'm going to hop back on tomorrow. I'll probably hop on video. Tonight, I'm not in the mood to be on the video, but tomorrow I got y'all if you guys want to see me. Nice to discuss. Are you watching BB Can, Vicky? Do you watch BB Can? I know you watched the season 5 with me, but I want to know, have you been watching the current season of BB Can? So for those of y'all who are Big Brother US fans that are like, I do not care about BB Can, we had a situation happen on this last week's episode of BB Can. So there's a player in the house named Ty. There's a player in the house named Zach and Ty and Hope. So Hope, his girlfriend snuck a letter into his sock, and apparently the BB production looked through the bags and everything, and didn't see the letter that Hope's girlfriend left him in the sock. But Hope, for whatever reason, showed his other castmates, like, hey, I got this letter. So we got in a thing last week, well, this week actually, we're still Saturday, where Hope and Ty got into a dispute because Ty wanted Hope to leave himself on the block after winning the Tower of Veto. And he said he's not doing that, he's playing his own game. So Ty was like, oh, okay. If he's going to do that, I'm going to play dirty. So they were like, we're going to tell production that Hope has this letter from home and get him disqualified from the game. That's a big no-no. Yeah, so what ended up happening was he didn't actually get disqualified from the game. What they did was they took away his HOH. He can't play in the HOH next week, and they took away his votes for elimination for that week. And then Zach, who was the guy on the block that was trying to get off the block, decided to self-evict himself. And Ty, who was his partner in crime, originally said he was going to evict with him, but he had a last-minute change of heart, and he's still in the house. So if y'all don't watch, please go on videobrother.net, and you can go on archive, season 11. If you don't want to watch all the episodes leading up, at least watch this very last episode that happened on Thursday. You will enjoy it. So much drama. So much drama. Well, I'm going to answer that. Spoiler alert for anyone who may want to wait until next Tuesday to find all this stuff out. But I watched Rob Has a Podcast, and they said on there that Santina is indeed the secret HOH. Is Survivor Australia good, Vicky? Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what Santina does. Apparently, from what they were saying on what I watched, they were basically saying